Now on the APEC VIP hotline, cutting edge training for the serious athlete at APEC. Results speak for themselves when their athletes hit the field. With us right now from Fox Sports Southwest, Emily Jones. How you doing, Emily?
Doing great this morning. How are you, Bryan?
Doing very well. Thanks for coming on with us. We have to talk to you because you spent the entire summer with these guys day after day after day, and now you've seen about half the Rangers team leave here in the last week. What do you make of all of this?
Yeah, I mean, personally, it's sad for me. I understand that the organization has got to do what it's got to do, to try and make the team better. So it's difficult, just like the fans, when you get attached to guys and you root for them, and and you see them leave for another team, and it does make you sad. But you understand that it's part of the business, unfortunately. So we're not all GMs; we don't all get to pick our teams. So you have to trust in the Rangers front office that they know what they're doing, and you've got to think that at some point very soon they're going to start making some moves one way or the other to try and shore this thing out before spring training.
Boy, you hope so, because, man, we've seen a lot of players walking out the door here in the last few days.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it started with Mike Napoli, which, a lot of people didn't put too much stock in because he got an incredible deal with the Red Sox, so I was happy for him. But the bottom line is, I mean, he was out for 6 weeks this year and still gave you 25 bombs. So, I mean, that's some production to consider. And, so then you lose the face of the franchise, for the better part of the last decade in Michael Young. And, you can't underestimate the value that he has. He had a down year this season, obviously, but his presence in the clubhouse is immeasurable. And the level of accountability that he brings to any room is really something that I think a lot of people underestimate. So, and then of course Josh. Now, I mean, it was a strange relationship down the stretch between Josh and the club, between Josh and the fans as his time as a Ranger wound down. But you can't deny the numbers that he puts up and the production that he gives you, and just just how his presence in the lineup, whether he's in a 0 for 40 slump or he's batting 440. His presence in the lineup is absolutely huge. So they've got a lot of holes to fill. They've got some production to make up for offensively, and I'll be curious to see, now that those three guys are gone, Greinke's off the market, and some moves have been made by other teams, how this front office responds.
One of my Facebook friends asked the question, and I thought it was a pretty legitimate one. Do you think, had the Rangers known that they weren't going to get Greinke or Hamilton, do you think they would have traded Michael Young?
I mean, I think they thought they had a shot at getting both of them.
Right.
I think they probably thought, I think they thought their chances were really good at getting one of them. I just, I don't know why, but for some reason, this front office is ready to move on from Michael Young, which I still don't understand. And I consider Michael a friend, but I also consider John Daniels and Thad Levine friends, and Nolan Ryan. So it's strange for me because I've never really understood that the last 3 years. I mean, the guy's been the epitome of consistency over the course of his career. Granted, he had a terrible year last year. He knows that. But I just never understood. But, the fact that his name kept coming up over and over and over again, I think feelings started to sour, and, time for him to move on. But, I don't know if they'd take a do-over on that one, but you have to think that they would at least consider it based on the fact that their 3, 5, and 7 holes hitters are now gone.
Yeah, I was looking at some numbers just between the three guys we're talking about, Hamilton, Napoli, and Young. 75 home runs, 235 runs, 251 RBIs. That's a lot of production to have to replace in one time.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And this front office has got its work cut out for it. I mean, obviously, with the moves that have been made and haven't been made this offseason, Jurickson Profar is going to get his shot. I mean, he's going to get it every day. That seems to be quite apparent. So they have put a ton of stock in that kid, and they have a very, very high opinion of him. And according to all the reports that you get, including from his teammates, it's well warranted. I mean, Michael Young in his, farewell press conference, when asked about Jurickson, couldn't say enough great things about him. Not only about the way he plays the game, but just not just his natural, his talent, his ability, at the plate and in the field, but just the way his love for the game. He told the story about how when he found out he was getting a start one day, I was on the road, and Michael said the kid was so excited he immediately got dressed and ran out to go watch the video. And he was like, "That's my kind of teammate." So that says a lot about Jurickson Profar to me. Is the high praise that he received, from Michael Young on his way out. To a guy who basically is a lot of the reason why Michael was probably traded, is because they want to make room for these young kids. So says a lot about Michael and says a lot about Jurickson. So, they're gonna ride some of these young guys, I think, and give them a shot early in the season to see what they can do. But I think they've got, Giancarlo Stanton is now a name that's being floated out there a ton, which the Marlins have said that they're not interested in trading him. I don't know that B.J. Upton is, a viable option anymore. The Diamondbacks seem, pretty hell-bent on keeping him now, considering their moves earlier in the week. So, those are a couple names floating out there. I, too, wouldn't be surprised if now that they've got some money freed up that they didn't sign Josh, if they didn't come and make a run at Elvis Andrus to get him locked up long-term.
Yeah, and that's another issue, because with Scott Boras there, Scott Boras never re-signs with the same team. He always moves his client.
Well, but let me tell you something. Elvis is eager to get a big deal. He can't wait. I mean, whether that comes via free agency in 2 years or it comes right now. Elvis is ready for he's ready for that big contract. And so I think you could if you're the Rangers, you might be able to take advantage of a window right now where Elvis might be willing to say, "I'd love to be filthy rich a couple years earlier than I would." And like I said, this is just me talking. I mean, obviously, sure. Elvis has never verbalized that to me, nor would anyone. I would think. Well, actually, I would. I'd say it in a heartbeat. I'd love to be filthy rich right now.
Absolutely.
2 years later, I'll take it either time. But if I had my druthers, I'd rather be filthy rich now.
Sure.
So anyway, I think there is an opportunity there. I really do. And if it's reasonable, then I think they'll take it. But, it's going to have to be a very legitimate, offer, because Scott Boras knows and Elvis Andrus knows that in 2 years, if he hits the free agent market, he is going to get paid. So, but they may be able to take advantage of call it a window of I don't want to call it impatience, but maybe a window of anxiousness on behalf of Elvis.
Everywhere I turn, I'm reading about the Rangers being disappointed in the way the Hamilton talks ended. But do they have really any right to feel disappointed? I mean, they had a lot of time to sign Josh, and it sure looked like when the season was over that they were quite ready for him to move on. I just get the impression that seems a little disingenuous.
Well, and it's a good question, and it's a good point you bring up. And here's the deal: Josh did make the statement that at various times throughout the season, when his contract negotiations would come up, he would say he would make the comment, will the Rangers have? He made it the last day of the season, so the Rangers will have the first shot at it. But there were times also throughout the course of the season in which he would say, yes, I'll give them a chance to match, or let them entertain offers, or I'll go out. That was kind of the plan that had been floated from the All-Star break on, was that Josh would go out, test the market, see what the market was bearing, and then come back to the Rangers, and then, if that's where he wanted to be, give them a chance to play ball, so to speak. But like you said, listen, we hear it from front office execs all the time. Baseball, this is a business. We had to do what was in the best interest of the organization. You know what? Same can be said for Josh Hamilton, for Michael Young, for Mike Napoli, for any of the Ian Kinsler, any of these guys. It's a business for them, too. And so they have to do what's best for their business, for their family. And I don't fault him one bit. For him. Now, is it a bit of a gut punch as a Ranger fan that he's going to the Angels? Absolutely. But was he obligated to call the Rangers and let them know? No. Were they under the impression that they would have a chance to counter and to match I think they were under that impression. But, strange things happen in negotiations over the course of time. And so you can't, it's absolutely his prerogative. I don't fault him for it a bit.
So what kind of hard feelings do you think there are between the Rangers and the Angels right now?
Plenty.
That's going to add for a nice little rivalry there.
Oh, it's going to be great. And you know what? And it's already been building. Obviously within the division, the fact that the Angels owned it for so long, and then now the Rangers have come onto the scene, and then of course the Ace sneaking in through the back door last year, which was unbelievable. But that rivalry is obviously there, and it's a natural one because of the fact that they are division rivals. But then when you look at the C.J. Wilson thing, the fact, when Mike Napoli came over from the Angels, I mean, there's so many now, and of course now Josh, there's so many guys who are so familiar with each other that I think it only adds to things. So, obviously the Angels are willing to spend a ton of money to, get their place back within this division. And it's going to make for some great baseball, and it's going to make for some really entertaining storylines and for some a lot of drama throughout the course of the season because of how many times these two teams play. So I think it only makes it better.
Based on what you've seen in this offseason, how confident are you that J.D. and Nolan Ryan are going to be able to put a legitimately competitive team on the field this year, or are we looking at a youth movement?
Yeah, I absolutely think they'll be competitive. They've got enough guys returning. They need some people to hit. They need some of these young kids to hit. They need Jerks and Profar, to translate to. And listen, he's not going to have a Mike Trout-like rookie season, but he needs to have make a smooth and quick transition to the big leagues. But they've got to add a piece or two, in my opinion, if they're going to be able to compete, especially within this division. So there's definitely some work to do, but it is just mid-December. There is time for this team to do, make some significant moves. So I'll reserve, I guess, a firm answer on that question until spring training starts in March.
Okay.
Or February, I guess.
One last question. This has nothing to do with the Rangers. I know you spent a lot of time up in Lubbock. What do you make of all that went down with Tech over this past week?
I could not be more thrilled. I could not be more thrilled.
About Tuberville gone first?
Absolutely. You know what? I never got the feeling that Tommy Tuberville wanted to be in Lubbock. I never felt. I just always felt like there was so much SEC talk, and I just don't. And listen, it was going to be hard for anyone.
Yes.
After following that situation, so he definitely had a difficult hand dealt to him. But I just never felt like he was all in there. And if you're going to succeed in Lubbock at Texas Tech, you have got to be all in. And I could not be more thrilled for Cliff Kingsbury. I am so excited. He's young. He's competitive. He works his tail off. I know this from covering him as a player. Mm-hmm. I think he is going to do an amazing job. And the best thing about it is a fan base that has been so divided for the last 3-4 years I haven't found very many people who are against this. And those who are concerned about his lack of experience. And I understand that, but you got to get it somewhere. And I'd rather run Cliff out there than some retread, that couldn't get a job somewhere else or that some other big school got rid of. I mean, I'd rather roll the dice with Cliff and see where he takes you. But I couldn't be more thrilled about it, and I'm excited about what he's going to do.
And at least you have a pretty good feeling that he's going to finish the meal with the recruits before he leaves, right?
I can absolutely assure you, and I feel very confident in saying this, that Cliff Kingsbury will never dine and dash on a recruiting visit.
This is a good thing to know. That should be put on the resume.
Isn't it? Who knew you needed to have that as a qualifier?
I love it. Hey, Emily, thanks very much for coming on with us. We really do appreciate it. We hope you have a happy holidays, and we look forward to talking to you down the line.
Sure thing. You too.
Great. Take care.
You too.
Emily Jones from Fox Sports Southwest on Bryan Houston Sports Radio Live on 99.3 Talk FM. Thank you very much, Emily. We really appreciate it.